This is the intro for Accounting 3036, Intermediate Accounting 1 online. When you look at your courses on FOL, you should see it in the list. It's identified as an online course. So for those of you who aren't aware about that you were in an online course, you are, which means the structure of this course is that there's no online or no in-class lectures available. I will be posting audio lectures and putting them into YouTube playlists for you guys to access, focusing on some of the key aspects of each chapter. But we'll get to that in a bit as we go through this introduction. So this is just going to be a really short demo, just a quick hello. My name's Brett Blondia, and I'll be delivering this course to you this semester. But I just wanted to give you a brief overview of what you can find on FOL, what we'll be using for testing software, and what we'll be using for the quizzing software, and then the publisher's website a little bit as well. All right. And I want to focus on some of the key things that are in course content that should help you stay up to speed during the course of the semester. So if you get to your course homepage here, when you get to the course home, you'll notice that I have a nice little welcome message here. So please read through that welcome message. It just gives you a bit of a background on what is an online course, what's important for you. And like I say, in my opinion, one of the most important things is going to be time management and making sure that you stay on task. It's really easy to fall behind or to lose track of things when you're trying to self-manage through the course of a semester. So really focus on looking at that weekly schedule, staying up to speed, making sure you're understanding all the concepts. And if you don't understand the concepts, then it's your responsibility to get a hold of me so that I can help you. Okay, so within that welcome message, I gave you some things that you need to do to get going in the course, like buying the textbook, signing up for WileyPLUS, a couple of documents here that I think you really need to print out and review. Okay, and then I've given you a reminder of your first two upcoming deliverables. So the first of which is the academic integrity quiz. So you may remember that from first semester. We're trying to implement this in every stage of a program. So you had it in first semester, which takes care of level 1 and 2, year 1 of your program. We're now entering year 2 of the program, so we're going to go back through this academic integrity quiz, and they've asked that Accounting 3036, so Intermediate 1, our course, they've asked that be the course where students have to again take the academic integrity quiz. So I've given you a little note, a reminder here that you are responsible for that. So where you're going to find the information you need is when you go to course content, right? So you click on content. When you go to course content, you'll notice that right up here at the very top, to be completed in week 1, is an academic offenses, policies and procedures, cheating and plagiarism. This is your slideshow. So really all you need to do for me is you need to come in, you need to go to course content, you need to review that slideshow to familiarize yourself or remind yourself of some of the key components of Fanshawe College's academic offense policy. And then up here, if you go back up to the top of this toolbar here, you'll notice there's a tab for quizzes. So you need to go to the quizzes tab, and you'll notice that this is the only quiz that's listed in FOL. That's because the rest of the quizzes you do during the course of this semester will be on the WileyPLUS website, the textbook publisher's website. Okay, so you need to review for academic integrity. You need to review the slideshow. Then you need to come in here and take this quiz. Okay, so two things to note. One, you need to score 80% or higher on the quiz to be considered a pass, right? Which I would hope that everyone would be able to do on the first try. If you can't get it on the first try, you will have multiple attempts at the quiz to make sure that you can achieve the score of 80%. So that's the first thing to note, is you need to have an 80% to pass. The second thing that you need to understand is that if you don't achieve 80% on this quiz, or you choose not to do this quiz, none of your grades over here in the gradebook will release. So you'll have nothing listed, and sorry, I still need to update this for the current semester, but nothing in here will update for you. So even if you do have completed tests, and I have a test score for you, I'm not allowed to share that grade with you until such time as you complete the academic integrity. So please make sure that you go in, you take the quiz, you get the grade that you need so that I can release your grades. Okay. Next thing that I wanted to talk about, again under course content, was the course information sheet. So the second section of your course content is general course info, and the very first item up there is the course information sheet. So the course information sheet is essentially our contract. So this is what we're going to endeavor to go through during the course of the semester. It lists out all your standard things like your vocational learning outcomes, your vocational learning outcomes, your essential employability skills, all the different things that I'm hoping you'll walk away from this course with. A couple of the key things, the things you guys will find most useful. The first is this weekly schedule here, okay, and there's a more detailed weekly schedule available to you under course content, but this is when we plan on completing everything. The pace at which we want to move through the chapters, when your tests will be, when your quizzes are due. So I've also got all that information in a weekly schedule, which I'll show you shortly. Okay. Teaching, learning methodology. There's some face-to-face. That's obviously not going to apply to you guys. You guys will be online. So primarily the way that I'm going to deliver this course to you is going to be through online video tutorials, which will be on YouTube. So I'll be doing some lecturing and some problem demonstration. And then you're going to have to spend quite a bit of time working on this on your own, reading the chapters, practicing the questions, reading the publisher or the overhead slides. And again, I'll say this to my in-class group and I'll say this to you guys. The way to excel in accounting is repetition. If you don't understand a concept or you're struggling with a concept, you need to practice it over and over. And I know that can be a bit tedious, but you really need to be an expert at this by the end of the semester, right? And the way to be able to do that, the way to be able to go through any type of problem that I might give you is to practice it until it becomes second nature, okay? So that's how the course will be delivered. The method of evaluation, this is new for this semester. This course has never had quizzes as a part of it. This semester, however, 18% of your overall grade will be from quizzes. There's 12 chapters in the textbook. Each chapter quiz is worth 1.5 marks. We do not drop a quiz. So you don't get to take 12 and keep your best 10. Okay? Each quiz is worth 1.5 marks. If you choose not to do it and the deadline passes, they can't be reopened. Okay? So typically they'll be open for a week or so, maybe 2. But all the deadlines will be specified in your weekly schedule as to when they're due. So you can't come to me and say that, oh, I didn't know the quiz was due. You have a weekly schedule that tells you when they're due. And when you go to WileyPLUS, you'll also notice that they pop up in your upcoming assignments. Okay, so your quizzes are worth 18%. You're going to have your first test in week 6. It's on chapters 1 to 6, and it's worth 21% of your overall grade. It might look like, if you look at Test 1 and Test 2, they're both worth the same percentage, and it might look a bit off. Test 1 seems to have quite a few more chapters than Test 2, and it does. But chapters 1 and 2, when you look at them, they're all theory. They're relatively short. We don't even spend a lot of time in the in-class group going through them. They're generally self-study. It's all background theory stuff. So at most it's going to represent multiple choice, maybe a short answer or 2 question on the first test. Not a huge piece of the first test, okay? The core of the test will be chapters 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so that's your test 1. That's 21% of your grade. Chapter 2 is test 2, sorry. Is chapters 7 and 9, and it's also worth 21%. And this is new for the current semester. Because this course is part of the transfer agreement with CGA, we need to make sure that we have a cumulative final. So in the past, over the last few semesters, we haven't had cumulative finals, and so we need to change that for the current semester. So for the current semester, your final exam, and for ongoing semesters, your final exam will be worth 40%, and it will be a cumulative final. So it's not just going to be on the last few chapters, it's going to be on everything that we did during the semester, and it will be a 3-hour final. Okay? Again, here's a little note. Course grades will be released to students when they achieve the required minimum grade of 80%. So that's your CIS. Review it. Familiarize yourself with it. There's a couple of things. Missed evals, right? The only way that you're allowed for me to write a test that you've missed, you have to let me know before the test that you're not going to make it. And if you're sick, you need to provide a doctor's note for the day of the test saying that you were ill and you were unable to make it to the school on the day of the test. And then the other is obviously a death in the immediate family. So you need to provide any type of documentation to prove either of those instances. But if you can do that, then all you need to do is come into the business office, fill in a missed eval form, pay the fee to the registrar's office, and then you can reschedule the test. Okay? So that's the CIS. Secure exam. I don't know if you've heard other students talking about secure exam or not, but this is a laptop course, and you will be doing your testing on your laptop. So you're going to be using a software called Secure Exam. So the instructions for installation are here under course content. I need you to review those, and then I need you to use these Secure Exam load files that are right here under course content, and I need you to install the testing software. In a couple of weeks, I think the end of week 3, beginning of week 4, you'll be loaded. The course or the class list will be loaded onto the Software Secure website, which is the Secure Exam company. The class list will be loaded, and at that time you'll be able to access some practice tests that I'll set up for you. You'll be able to familiarize yourself with the software. Essentially what it is it's an environment that tries to mirror Excel. It's not exactly Excel, but it tries to imitate Excel. So you have to install this on your computer. So there's the instructions for installation, and there's the files themselves. Make sure you install it, and then in a couple of weeks' time we'll worry about getting you loaded onto the website and allow you to download some practice tests. But this is the software we're going to be using for testing this year. The other thing that you need to concern yourself with at the very start here is this WileyPLUS registration flyer. So when we open this, you'll see that you are going to be enrolled in Section 20 Blondia Online. So this is your WileyPLUS. WileyPLUS is a website that you're going to use. It's the publisher's website. We're going to use it for all of our quizzing. So I've given you the class section, your class section URL in this flyer, right? So you can see here that you can just click right on this link, and it will take you to the WileyPLUS website, and you'll be able to register for the course right on the site. When you go to the site, afterwards, you'll be able to log in, and you'll see that you'll have an Accounting 3036, Intermediate Accounting 1. You'll be enrolled in this class. Okay, and I'm just going to go to Student View really quick. So you'll be in Section 20. When you load onto the home screen, you're going to have to play around with this a bit. I'm going to assign you, it's called Assignment 0, and it's basically just a walkthrough that allows you to get familiar with the WileyPLUS site. Where do you go to do things? But there's some pretty common areas. The first up here is your Read, Study, Practice, or you can even look right here in the middle of the screen. You have a Read, Study, Practice section, which basically has the entire textbook in electronic format. It's got all of the questions that are in the textbook are listed there. It's got some practice quizzes. It's got some practice exercises, things like crossword puzzles, flashcards, things that can help you practice and get ready for the test and make sure that you really understand the information. So this is an area where you're going to spend a lot of your time prepping and doing your readings. The quizzes will list up or will show up in this assignment section. And you can see that right now, because I haven't assigned anything, this class has 0 assignments. But as I add them to the list and I start building your quizzes, okay, they'll start to pop up in here. So you'll be able to just click on this link and it'll show you all the assignments that you have due for me, so that you can just check them off or open them up and complete them as the deadlines come about. Once you complete a quiz, you'll be able to go to your own little gradebook here, and obviously there's no progress in data at this time because we haven't done any quizzes, but once you enter your gradebook, it will give you all of your scores you've achieved on all of your quizzes. Okay? So what I need you to do, again, is to come to Course Content on FOL, click on the WileyPLUS registration flyer, okay, which will open up this document. And then you can, once you've got your registration code, you can either purchase it directly from the publisher if you just want the electronic version of the text, or you can go to the bookstore and buy the hard copy of the book along with the registration code. But once you have that registration code for WileyPLUS, all you have to do is click on this link. It'll take you to the website and you can register for my course. Back to course content, because obviously this is going to be one of this is going to be the key area. I've tried to break down the chapters into logical groupings. So each section is structured the same. So if you look with chapter 3, I've got a couple of different headings. I've got PowerPoints, I've got additional resources, video and external links, I've got some solutions listed there for you, and then there's also a fifth section that I could have, and it would be called additional questions, because sometimes I make up extra questions for you guys to practice with. Okay? So here's all the PowerPoints, right? The publisher's PowerPoints, any additional PowerPoints that I've created, like types of adjusting entries, the standard method, the alternate method, reversing entries. If I've created any of my own PowerPoints, I also list them in this area here. Okay. Additional resources would be any extra demos or any extra information pages that I've put together or that have been assembled for you guys to help work through a chapter. They'll be listed here. Solutions have all been provided to you. So in each section, you'll notice that this first document here, this is actually a Word document. This is the publisher's solutions, and I still have to check with our new privacy rules to make sure that I'm allowed to provide this to you. I have gotten approval from the publisher to do this, to post these in the past. I just have to verify that I'm still allowed to do it. But that Word document has every solution for every question in the text. So if you're working ahead of the group or if you're practicing extra questions, you'll have solutions for every question in the textbook, which I think is great for you guys for practice. What you'll also notice under solutions is that there's a bunch of Excel files listed here as well. Those are Excel files that I've created that I typically use to take up the question in class. So sometimes the cells will be hidden that you'll have to unhide them to get the solution. Sometimes you'll have to change the font from white to black. But basically what I've done is I've taken the solutions out of the publishers, I've reformatted them, maybe sometimes into a more logical presentation, but essentially I've reformatted them and posted them for you here. Okay, so you can view those as you start to work through the questions in the text. The item that I skipped was this video and external links. So they're not all posted yet, and I'll be posting them as we work our way through the semester. I'll try and get quite a bit ahead of you guys. But the YouTube playlists, basically when you click on this link, it's going to take you to YouTube, right? And within that playlist, I will have I've created small lectures on most of the core concepts in the chapter. So for chapter 3, when you click on this YouTube playlist, you'll get a lecture from me on the types of accounting entries. You'll get a lecture from me on the standard method of doing adjusting entries, the alternate method for adjusting entries. There's a video lecture on reversing entries. So it's essentially what I would be teaching the in-class students, but in a video format and posted on YouTube for you guys to go through. So one of the best ways to succeed in this course, and I would recommend this to everyone, is to follow these YouTube links and to go through those playlists for each chapter. I've picked out the stuff that I thought was the most relevant, the most important from each chapter, and I've built a series of videos that you guys can use to help yourselves prep. Okay? And just to give you an example as you scroll down, so that was chapter 3. You'll notice in chapter 4, again, we start with PowerPoints. We've got some additional resources. I haven't posted the link yet for YouTube, but it will be going up. And then some solutions. So it's the same format as you go. Okay? I don't know why it does that. One thing that I did want to point out is that once you get to chapter 6, you'll notice that I've got PowerPoint slides, hour 1, hour 2, hour 3, hour 4, hour 5. These are the PowerPoints that I use in the class, and they're basically an hour-by-hour presentation of what we would be talking about in class. So you can, by all means, use these lecturer slides. These are from the publisher, but my slides are more of kind of like the Coles Notes version of the text. So it's a summary of all the things that are the most important in the chapter, maybe getting rid of a little bit of the fluff and focusing on what I think is most important. So I think these are useful to you as you go through. And you can see here that for chapter 6, I've got some additional questions, right? So practice problems that I've created for completed contract, percentage of completion in completed contract, etc., etc., consignment. If I've gone through the effort of putting these together, it's probably a pretty good idea, or a pretty good chance that you guys need to use these to practice and prep yourself for the final. Okay, so these additional questions are there for your benefit. You can choose to use them or not. It's totally up to you, but I've put them in there for you. All right, so that's the structure of your course content. Two more documents that I really needed to point out before I kind of shut down this intro. The first is your weekly schedule. Everybody in the class should print this out, because this is going to tell you the speed with which we're going to go through this course, right? And the timing when you should be getting things done. So you'll notice that I've broken it out into different modules, and I've told you what weeks or what time frame you should be spending completing those modules. So in the first week, I want you to be focusing on chapter 1 and 2. Just get some reading done, get yourself into the swing of things. You can pick and choose some of the questions in those chapters to practice. Again, you have all the solutions, so you'll know whether you're right or wrong. Okay, but really that's all you need to do for week 1. And you'll notice that over here I've listed when your quizzes and tests are, right? In what week do they occur? And then what is the due date for these items? So all your tests will occur in class, as I mentioned, and all of your quizzes are due by 11:59 on the date listed. So if you look here in week 2, we'll be focusing on module 2, which is essentially adjusting entries. Okay, it's chapter 3 of the text, so you need to read chapter 3. And here's some of the questions, brief exercises and exercises that I think you need to do to practice. Okay, this is by no means comprehensive. It's not every question in the text. So if you're working on a concept and you don't feel like you've mastered it with the questions that I've provided you, go back to the text, practice additional ones, or do these ones again, right, to make sure that you're ready for the test. Okay, that's your responsibility, to make sure that you've done it enough to be ready for the test. So what you'll see in week 2 then is that we actually have 2 quizzes due in week 2. You've got quiz 1, which is on chapter 1, and then you're going to have your second quiz, which will be on chapter 3. They're both due on the 20th of January, right? And all quizzes are typically due on the Sunday night. So they're due on January 20th by 11:59 p.m. Again, if you miss the deadline, you don't get the grade. If it's 12 o'clock, 12:01, 12:05, I would recommend not leaving it until the last minute, because I'm not going to reopen the quiz for you, unfortunately. Okay, so make sure that you hit all the deadlines that are assigned. Again, focusing on the dates. If you look here, you could have multiple weeks in a chapter. So it's the same structure all the way down. After week 5, or sorry, into week 6, you'll notice that your first test pops up. So test 1, 21% of your mark, is on February 11th. It's in class. It's in room B1030 from 12 to 2 p.m. Okay? So that's the first time that you actually physically have to come into the school to take a test and be a part of this class in person. Okay? Everything else is online. What I was mentioning before is that when we get to something like Module 8 and we start talking about investments, you'll notice that this module is almost a 2-week module, right? So I'm giving you 2 weeks to work yourself through this module from March 4th to 17th, okay? I'm giving you lots of exercises. I'm identifying to you when you might need to go on to Fanshawe Online to see some additional course content. But you'll notice that at the end of this 2-week cycle, and at the beginning of week 10, on March 19th, you've got another test in class. It's on the Tuesday this time. in M3039 from 10 to 12 p.m. So what I would recommend is if you're given a 2-week time frame to complete a module, don't leave it all till the end. Try and get done as much as you can up front so that you leave yourself some more slack time. Okay? So your weekly schedule lists out when all your quizzes are due, the dates. It also lists out when your March break is. And then the only other thing that I wanted to mention is that week 15 of the course, which is from April 22nd to 26th, is your exam week. Your final is worth 40% of your grade, and it's cumulative. So make sure you're prepped. Make sure you spend this study week, exam week that I'm giving you here, make sure you spend it getting ready for your finals. The other thing I wanted to mention is that I can't reschedule exams. There's just too many students taking exams at that time that we can't make concessions or changes. So if you have vacation plans or you're going away to celebrate being done the semester, that's great, but don't make it for exam week because I have no idea when this exam will be. It could be the 22nd, it could be the 26th, I don't know. And if you're gone away on vacation, you have to take a 0 on the 40%. I can't reschedule it at all. So make sure that you're here during this week. Don't make plans to be away. Okay. Other than that, even though this is an online course, it doesn't mean that you have to do it alone, right? I will be here for support as much as you need me. I am available for in-person meetings. Okay, so I just had a couple of slides I was going to go through. When you're in FOL and you go to your class list, you can find my email address there. If you want to write it down to have it for easy reference, my email is b_blondia@fanshawonline.ca. I'm located in the Lawrence Kinlan School of Business, which is up in B 2015. So if you are at the school and you want to come see me, then you can email me. We'll book an appointment time, and then you can just come meet me in the business office. Okay? So just because this is online doesn't mean you have to do it all yourself. The onus is on you to work yourself through the content, but I can be there for support. I have no problems meeting with you guys as much as you might need to help you achieve the grade that you want. Again, there's your grading structure for the semester. Quizzes are 18%. Test 1, which occurs in week 6, is 21%. Test 2 is in week 10, and it's 21%. And then your final is during exam week in week 15, and it's worth 40% of your overall grade. Okay, so what's test day going to be like? All your tests are in class, like I mentioned, so you're going to have to come into the school. Most of you will probably already be there anyways, but you'll need to come into the school to take the test. You will be using secure exams, so you're going to have to download test files for test day. So make sure that you download the test file before test day. You don't have to worry about that too much right now. We've got 6 weeks before you need to think about that. But I will give you some additional information and update you as to when you can access some practice files as well. But don't save downloading the test for the day of the test, because you may waste some of your test time trying to properly download the test file. Okay? You can bring a calculator, pen, pencil, all that regular stuff. We are going to apply the rule where all your stuff has to be at the front of the room. So if you've got a really nice jacket, or you don't want your purse sitting at the front of the room unattended, then I would recommend not bringing it to class. Okay? Laptop bags and all that kind of stuff is going to have to be put at the front of the room. And there's no bathroom breaks on test day, simply because I can't monitor what you're doing while you're in there. Most of your tests, except for your final, are only 2 hours, so you should be able to make it through that time. All right. I try to be as responsive as possible on email. I'll respond within 24 hours. If you send it to me after the school's closed, after normal business hours, so if you send it to me at 8 or 9 or 10 o'clock at night, I might not see it until the next morning. So typically I'll try and respond the next day, that morning. But if I don't, it might be the day after, simply because I didn't receive it until the following day. Right? I have a thing in here, a little line item in here that says use proper grammar in your emails. I'll still respond to every email that you send, but use it as practice. Pretend you were in industry, and pretend you were trying to send an email to a colleague or your boss or a potential employer. You don't have to call me Mr. Blondia. Brett is fine. But try and use proper grammar so that when you send the email, it looks more professional. I don't have to try and decode a 10-letter acronym that you might use when you're texting. So try and use proper sentence structure, that kind of thing. But again, you're not graded on it. I'm going to answer everyone you want. So, and I'm guilty of using acronyms from time to time too, LOL, all that kind of stuff. So I'm pretty laid back. But I am very accessible. I've got lots of time to meet with you guys. So if you do want to come in and you do want to see me, send me an email, and we can meet. So that's it for the intro. Things that you need to do as soon as you possibly can. You need to buy the textbook and or the WileyPLUS Access. Remember I mentioned you can buy the textbook, the hardcover textbook itself with access, or you can simply buy the online access separately itself. So you can just buy access to the WileyPLUS site. I think it's about half the cost. It's not nearly as expensive as the hard copy of the text. Okay, but again, you don't actually have the physical text. You have to go online at all times to read all the content. It's all in electronic format. So if you want to do that and just buy the WileyPLUS Access, then you can go right to the publisher's website. You can use that WileyPLUS flyer that I have posted in course content. That'll get you there. You can just, if you have a credit card, then you can just buy your access online and go from there. So I want you to gain access to the text. I also want you to print and review the following 3 documents: the course information sheet, the weekly schedule, and the last item is the to-do checklist. So under each chapter, I've listed a number of things that you can do either on FOL, on the WileyPLUS website, or using the textbook. There's a number of things that you need to do to comprehensively cover this course. So it's a checklist for you. It's extensive. It's a big document, but there's 12 chapters. So the document itself is about 17 or 18 pages, but there's just a bunch of little bulleted checkpoints there. So as you go through and you review the YouTube lecture, you can check it off so that you know you've done it. Once you do the practice quiz, you can check it off because you know you've done it. Once you've completed the quiz for the chapter, you can check it off. So it should really just help you work your way through all the content and keep you organized. And again, that academic integrity quiz is due the first week, so please go do take that. So that's it for this intro. I know it was pretty long and tedious, but it had to be done. I'm sure there's things that I may want to go over with you throughout the course of the semester, so keep reviewing the homepage for any new news items that I might be posting. I might also post additional video lectures if I think that it's needed. And we may look at creating some online meeting times this semester where we can meet as a class and you can ask me any questions that you might have. Alright, so that's it for the introduction. Good luck, guys. I think it's going to be a great semester, and if you have any questions, let me know.